This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. I became a dad on January the 30th of 2023, and I feel like I wanted to do a video about maybe how this has changed sort of my life with regards to guitar and that sort of stuff, in the hope that maybe it can be interesting in some way, or I don't know, if it might be useful to someone in, I don't know. Anyway, so the best piece of advice that I got was from Jack Gardner. And so Jack had a kid as well a few years ago, maybe 2 or 3 years either. And what he said to me was basically he wished that he'd got more prepared in terms of banking work so that he could have sort of some rest period. This turned out to be really important for me, as basically we ended up being in hospital for about a week. And luckily I had taken notice of what Jack said, and so before having a kid I used to do 2 videos a day basically, and in the lead up to, you know, the pivotal moment, essentially I started sort of trying to bank an extra video each day. And what that meant was that once Elodie actually arrived, I could kind of just upload a video, and basically I think I carried on doing 2 videos a day for a while, but one of them often was banked. but that basically took the pressure off quite a bit. And you know, like when I was in the hospital for a few days, and when we were in hospital, I guess, I wasn't doing most of the work there, was I? Let's be honest. Basically, it meant that I was able to just focus on trying to be like a husband or whatever, and a dad, I guess, rather than worrying about having not done my work. Now, I guess guitar being my job kind of muddies the waters a little bit here, but I guess that would be advice in general for an actual job. You know, try and, I guess probably for a real job you get given paternity leave anyway, right? But try and sort of put in extra work ahead of time so that when that moment happens, you've got some sort of buffer to adjust to things. Now, I think what I had no real idea about what this might be like. So my advice is don't do any research in terms of what labour is like, because it's probably best to have an open mind so you don't know what to expect on the day. Otherwise, you might end up thinking, well, this is all not going to plan. Luckily, where we are now, Elodie's healthy, Lenny's healthy, and I still get to play guitar occasionally. So I fairly early on adjusted sort of my expectations for what was possible. So this channel, since about 2019, I uploaded 2 videos a day purely because I guess it was possible and I just wanted to carry on with that habit, and I felt like it was still possible for me, and the idea was something a bit like Bob Reynolds or Yannick Gwizdala were kind of the things that I really like on YouTube, where it's sort of like a more conversational thing rather than, you know, super highly produced stuff or whatever. But I quickly figured out that probably as a dad now, I don't have as much time to do certain things. So I decided to switch over to doing 1 video a day, which is still quite a lot for most people. But as I say, this is kind of my main thing I do, as well as gigging. So it's not like, you know, I'm coming home from a day at work at an office and then doing this stuff. So there is that to bear in mind as well. Luckily, when Elodie was born was like January, and in my life, there's a bit of a quiet period between January to about April, where there aren't that many gigs happening. And if you are a gigging musician, I would probably try and block out a chunk of time, because the evenings are kind of like an important time to be around in general. And a gig for me generally means that I'll be out of the house from about 4 till about 2. And that's quite a big chunk of time for your partner to be looking after the kid. It certainly was for us. And then sometimes if there's a duo in the day, these were the ones that I'd really kind of dread, because it would mean that I might have to leave the house at sort of like 2 or even earlier, and then come back at like 2. So leaving Leanna at home with the dogs and the child, it's quite a you know, quite difficult to start off with. And, you know, it's definitely not something that I was super happy about doing, and you wonder like something might go wrong. But yeah, I found it really useful to have basically a few months where I didn't have the normal kind of gigging stuff and going and doing stuff in the evening, because it meant that I was able to just sort of help Leanna. New roles that I've taken on, I became a chef. So it became my job basically to cook, and I have enjoyed that because it has made me feel like less of a useless legato boy, and more like I'm actually able to contribute somewhat. So cooking has become a thing I quite enjoy. You can stick on like a podcast and do that. What I have found is that I do have way less time to play guitar. So before, in the past, sort of when I was a free man, I might have, you know, enjoyed playing guitar like 7 hours a day was at one point what I tried to sort of like hit that number, and I'd have a timer on and all that sort of stuff. Nowadays, you know, it's basically most of the playing I do often is on camera, so you get to see, you unfortunate person, most of my kind of experimentation on guitar and trying to get used to things and trying to play and trying to keep my fingers moving. That is basically what my introductions to the videos have become. Like, it's my creative output in a way, but it's also a chance for me to actually sit down and play guitar. Now, I'm lucky that both me and Lenny work from home, so I do my stuff in the mornings, and then she does her stuff in the afternoons, and we sort of alternate in that way. What I've also found is that you kind of have to negotiate about, if you're going to try and do something a little bit selfish, which is going to uproot the routine and make things a little bit more difficult, then probably you need to plan that ahead of time. So what I try to do is that if I'm going to be going out for the morning or something like that, that I've already done my work, so that potentially Leanna can do her work then, and whatever, you basically kind of negotiate working things around. Things that I found useful have been Boss Wazza airs. I found them really useful leading up to the pregnancy, not leading up to the pregnancy, leading up to the birth, and for when I was practicing new set lists. Now, new set lists are a thing that, so be careful taking gigs where you're doing lots of new material would be my advice, because those things you forget. Basically, I forgot how much practice has to go into doing a new set of material. So I had this gig which had like 5 medleys and stuff, and it requires like loads of listening, and then you have to sit down with the guitar and stuff. And I found that week that I wasn't really able to help as much, or a couple of weeks leading up to it, because on top of my normal job, which is guitar, I had to do this additional stuff, which was learning this material. And generally, like the function gig actually paid like £225. Probably I'd have been better off just saying no to that one as I look back now, because I could have been like teaching Skype lessons or something instead, and would have made way more money than that, and probably helped more people than the drunk bride and those other people that heard me play, I don't know, the sax solo from I Had the Time of My Life. Do you know what I mean? So I think picking your things that you're going to do makes sense as well. In terms of actual practice, I think it's okay to kind of relax your goals a bit, and this is something I've talked about for a while. Just spending time enjoying the guitar, I think, in some ways, and not worrying too much about, I have to be regimented in progressing all the time. I think that could be a real thing that helps you just carry on playing the guitar during a phase where maybe you're busy doing other stuff. Instead of thinking, right, I want to get my sweep picking up to 160 BPM, just find a thing that you enjoy doing on guitar, basically, would be my piece of advice on that. Another thing is that Elodie reaches out and grabs the guitar anytime I play it, so it's kind of, even if I am playing guitar, I have to be ready to kind of stop her from diving over the neck and doing a somersault. There was another thing that I had to practice for, so I played for a friend's kind of before they walked down the aisle, and then when they walked off the aisle, I had to learn some stuff for that. And that was another bit of like a pressure situation, because it's like, okay, I have to play this thing solo and find time to practice it alongside my normal stuff. So that was another thing where I felt like, just be careful with what you're saying yes to doing, I guess, would be what I now know, having done this and gone through this a bit. And yeah, just relax your expectations, essentially, because I don't think this is now that I'm a dad, it's probably not the time to be thinking about, really, I need to be pushing these legato numbers through the roof. Do you know what I mean? It's just about trying to, when I pick up a guitar, create a little piece of music. Hopefully someone enjoys it. Hopefully I get to enjoy it, and it feels like a little bit of quality time that I get. Luckily, it's part of my job as well, so I can sort of do that. The things that have mattered less is kind of gear. I'm not really hunting loads of guitars and stuff to check out at the moment. I've been playing my Strats more than anything, so that's kind of a good thing. And again, like the amps and stuff, I've been less interested than ever, because basically I need to get a thing done quickly and efficiently, and modeling or going direct tends to be the best way to do that. Oh, well, that's the other thing. I hadn't realised until it was too late that I had put on quite a bit of weight and stuff like that. So I think don't forget to kind of watch your health stuff as well, because I think you spend a lot of time worrying about baby's health and about the mum's health. And what I found was that I was eating quite a lot once they'd gone to sleep. So you might go have a piece of toast, because it's kind of a way to calm yourself down. And I put on a bit of weight. So to mitigate that, what I've had to start doing now is sort of I started running, so I do like a 2 mile run, which takes like 15 minutes, which I can fit in before Lenny and the baby wake up. And that's kind of been like a little bit of exercise that I can do that isn't too much of a burden on the rest of the family system, as well as weighted chin-ups, but we won't talk about them. But yeah, that's kind of how my life has changed in a way. I've had to sort of pare back what parts of the day are just for me, which, to be fair, looking back now, quite a lot of my day was just for me. And, you know, try and be a bit more sensitive about, you know, right, get your work done, and then what else can you help with? If you're gonna do something outside of the norm, try and get things done before. And in terms of thinking about my guitar playing and whether it's stagnating or not, I try to not think about that too much. Did I used to be a better guitarist? Perhaps, but I'm just focusing on trying to enjoy right now when I'm playing guitar. So that's what that's about. And, you know, finding a minute to get something done is better than not doing it at all. And this was something else that the bass player that plays in my band said, you know, you'll find that when you do have a pocket of time, you want to get something done in it. So for me, that tends to be like a little bit of guitar, whether that be recording a clip and getting something done ahead of time or something like that. Basically, that's what I've learned. I don't know if that's interesting to anyone. I'd like to know your thoughts, or maybe other people watching this video might as well, about things that changed for you, maybe that were positive, things that you found to work around certain stuff, if you've got any ideas on that. And yeah, just don't sell all your guitars. I was using the Piezo Saver in the start with that acoustic guitar, and then jumping over to the Strat, I would probably using Eric Lead. Those are available in the Gumroad folder if you want. Help pay for some nappies. Cheers.